Most skinny fat guys will never see their abs, not because they don't train hard, but because they're focusing on the wrong thing. I know this because that was me. I remember looking in the mirror and thinking, I'm not overweight, but I'm not lean. I didn't look strong either. I was just stuck in the middle. And here's the truth. If you don't fix skinny fat the right way, you'll stay stuck forever. But there's a little known secret that flips everything. The same secret that finally took me from skinny fat to visible abs. Today I'm going to show you that secret, and once you understand it, you'll never look at your training the same way again. Because here's the truth. There is a simple system to go from skinny fat to abs, and I'm going to reveal exactly how it works in this video. And if you follow it, you can too. And at the end, I'll break down exactly how long it's going to take based on your own personal situation, so you'll know exactly what to expect. I want you to think about why buildings stand tall for decades, whilst most people's fitness journeys collapse in a matter of weeks. It's not because buildings are magic, it's because they're built on a strong foundation and a simple framework that keeps them stable. Getting abs from skinny fat is exactly the same. You don't need 1,000 different hacks, you just need the right framework to build on. That's why I created what I call the ABS method, or ABS method, which sounds like I'm saying it's a BS method, but it's just a framework that takes you from skinny fat to abs, and it stands for align, build and sustain. And before we just break it down, just quickly I want to mention that I've made a free time to six-pack calculator. So you just put in your details and it's going to tell you exactly how long it's going to take to get a six-pack from skinny fat. So grab yours for free down below. So let's break it down, starting with the first part of the abs method, which is A, and it stands for align. Why is it that so many skinny fat guys cut their calories hard and somehow end up looking worse? That was exactly my situation. I thought if I just eat less, I'll finally get lean. But the more I cut, the flatter I got, and my arms just got smaller, my chest disappeared, and I was still soft around my midsection. I was dieting hard, but I didn't look lean, I just looked weak. The problem isn't effort, the problem is alignment. You're eating in a way that doesn't line up with the goal of escaping skinny fat, and cutting makes sense if you're overweight, but when you're skinny fat, cutting just strips away the little muscle that you do have, making the fat look even worse. That's why the real move here isn't cutting, it's aligning your calories for a lean bulk. Enough to build muscle, but not so much that you add fat, and once you fix that alignment, everything changes. But calories are only half the equation. If your calories aren't backed up by the right fuel, your performance tanks and your body never builds the muscle that it truly needs. Most guys obsess over calories, but they completely ignore the two nutrients that actually decide whether those calories build muscle or just add more fat. Back when I first started my mission to get abs, I tried low carb, thinking that it would help me get lean, but my workouts felt weaker and weaker. I had no energy in the gym, I couldn't push heavier weights, and my progress stalled. At the same time, I wasn't eating enough protein as well to actually build anything. This is where most skinny fat guys go wrong. They think it's just about eating less, but really it's about fueling your performance and recovery. Without protein, there's nothing to build muscle with, and without carbs, your training never pushes hard enough to force that growth. That's why the second half of Align is simple. Eat enough protein to grow, and enough carbs to actually train like someone who wants to grow. When you align your calories and macros, your body finally has the fuel it needs to transform. But fueling your body is just step one. To actually see the change, you have to follow the next part of the method, and this is where B in the abs method comes in. Build. When I was skinny fat, I avoided ab exercises completely. Or worse, I'd half-heartedly do sit-ups in my room, not even close to failure, with awful form. And honestly, I just did them because it felt productive. But deep down, I knew they weren't actually building anything. The reality is this, your abs are muscles as well, just like your chest or your arms. So if you want to grow them, then you have to train them directly with resistance and with intent. That means choosing loaded crunch variations to hit the upper abs, and then choosing a leg raise variation to hit the lower abs. And that's the foundation. Once you lock in these two exercises, you've got the essential tools to actually build your abs, not just feel like you're working them. But exercises alone won't get you there. It's the way you carry out these exercises that actually matter more, and that's what really decides whether your abs grow or stay invisible. If you trained your chest the way most guys train abs, you'd never grow a single pound of muscle, and you'd end up with a flat looking chest. Think about it like this. Imagine trying to build a bigger chest by doing half rep push-ups once a week, stopping the seconds that it feels a bit uncomfortable, and then never adding more weight week on week. You'd never expect your chest to grow like that, right? But that's exactly how most people treat their abs. Abs don't grow from feeling activated or feeling the burn. They grow the same way that every other muscle grows. And that's through progressive overload, so adding weight or reps over time. Training close to failure, so actually challenging the muscle. And strict form, so your progress is real and not just fake numbers in your logbook. If you skip these principles, then your abs will never change, no matter how many sit-ups that you do. When you train your abs with the same principles that you'd use for your chest or your back or your biceps or your your triceps, heavy, progressive, taken to failure, that's when they'll actually start to grow. But building muscle is only half the battle. If you don't combine the first 2 parts of the method with the last, you'll never see results. And that's where S in the abs method comes in. Sustain. Why do most people fail even when they start strong? It's like trying to sprint a marathon. You can go all out for a first short burst, but you'll crash way before the finish line. That's how most guys approach skinny fat. They try to be perfect with 0 cheat meals, 0 flexibility, and strict rules that no normal human can even follow. But here's the truth. You don't need perfection, you need alignment and consistency. If you can stay mostly on track and allow for flexibility, meals out with a bit of balance, you'll actually stick to the plan long enough for it to work. Perfection burns you out, flexibility keeps you consistent. And that leads me on to the second half of sustain. Imagine planting a seed and digging it up every week to check if it's growing. If you don't give it time and care, then it never has a chance. And your body is exactly the same. It needs time, recovery, and patience to transform. Results come from steady training, eating, and recovery. So that means sleeping enough to actually recover, training consistently week after week, and giving it 6 to 12 months, not 6 to 12 days. If you can stay patient, you'll get there. But if you quit every few weeks to try the next hack, you'll stay stuck forever. Abs are revealed through patience and giving your body the time it needs, because then it will pay you back with the body that you love. But how patient do you need to be? How long will it take to get a 6-pack from starting from skinny fat? The truth is, it depends what your starting position is. But here's the rule of thumb. If you're on the leaner side of skinny fat, you can start seeing visible ab lines in as little as 3 to 6 months. If you're on the softer, higher body fat side, it might take closer to 6 to 12 months to get a full 6-pack. It's not overnight, but it's a guarantee if you actually follow the system. But don't guess how long it'll take. You can know for sure if you watch this video next, because I break down the exact time frame for getting abs if you're skinny fat, so you'll never have to wonder ever again. And this is crucial because if you don't know the timeline, you'll stay overwhelmed and stuck in the same body that you hate.